In prehistoric times, the only source of artificial light was a wood fire. To produce as much light as a regular household light bulb now gives off in an hour would have taken our prehistoric ancestors 58 hours of foraging for timber. By Babylonian times, the best lighting technology was a lamp that burned sesame oil. To produce the same amount of light, a Babylonian worker in around 1750 BCE would have had to work for 41 hours. Then came candles. Initially made from animal fat, they were time-consuming to produce and smelt awful. Even in the late 1700s, the typical worker would have to devote 5 hours' work to producing candles that emitted as much light as a regular household light bulb gives off in an hour. Through the 1800s came developments in gas lamps, which reduced the time cost of an hour of light to a few hours of work. With the invention of the electric bulb, light got cheaper still. By the early 1900s, it took just minutes of work to buy an hour of light. Today, less than 1 second of work will earn you enough money to run a modern household light bulb for an hour. Measured in terms of artificial light, the earnings from work are 300,000 times higher today than they were in prehistoric times, and 30,000 times higher than they were in 1800. Where our ancient ancestors once toiled to brighten their nights, we rarely even think about the cost as we flick on a light. Two forces have driven this remarkable change. Lighting technologies are better and still improving by the day, and workers are more productive, which means that we earn more in an hour than our ancestors did. The history of light illuminates some key themes of this book. Where prehistoric people had to do everything, modern workers specialize in what we do best. Markets allow us to exchange our output with that of other people. Prices create incentives to produce more when there's a shortage and less when there's a glut. Yet the market system is far from perfect. Unemployment, cartels, traffic congestion, overfishing, and pollution are just a few of the problems that emerge when markets fail. This small book tells a big story. It is the story of capitalism, of how our market system developed. It is the story of the discipline of economics and some of the key figures who formed it. And it is the story of how economic forces have shaped world history. Why didn't Africa colonize Europe instead of the other way around? What happened when countries erected trade and immigration barriers in the 1930s? Why did the Allies win World War II? Why did inequality in many advanced countries fall during the 1950s and 1960s? How did property rights drive China's growth surge in the 1980s? How does climate change threaten our future prosperity? You'll find answers to these questions and more in this book. Economics can be defined as a social science that studies how people maximize their well-being in the face of scarcity. It considers the behavior of people as individuals and how we work together in households and corporations. It focuses on how we interact in markets, in which buyers and sellers together determine the equilibrium price. Economics also considers what happens when markets fail, and how public policy might ameliorate poverty, climate change, or price fixing. This is a story that blends microeconomics and macroeconomics. Microeconomics is the study of how individuals make decisions. Macroeconomics looks at the economy as a whole. Too often, popular books about economics focus on one or the other. Freakonomics, Discover Your Inner Economist, and 50 Things That Made the Modern Economy introduce the reader to microeconomics. The Return of Depression economics, Slouching Towards Utopia, and This Time is Different, help explain macroeconomics. This book synthesizes both perspectives. We'll move chronologically through history, touching on the decisions of individuals and the trajectory of entire societies. Critics who think economics is bleak, money-grubbing, or narrow-minded like to quote Thomas Carlyle's description of the discipline as the dismal science, ignoring where the criticism comes from. Carlyle, who was writing in the 1800s, was a racist who believed that slavery should be reintroduced in the West Indies. The dismal view Carlyle was attacking was that all people are equal. Like many economists, I wear the insult with pride. Carlyle also disparagingly said, "Teach a parrot the terms supply and demand, and you've got an economist." Supply and demand graphs can be handy, but you won't find them in this book. And you certainly don't need to have studied any economics to enjoy the stories that follow. Learning to think like an economist can change your life for the better. The secret of our discipline is that the most powerful insights come from a handful of big ideas that anyone can comprehend.